Hello guys, it's me, Chris Pratt, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Gilla Band album, Most Normal. Gilla Band, formerly known as Girl Band, is a band I always saw great potential in. Potential that sometimes shone through on their first two albums, but overall I think the band's music up to this point kind of was lacking in several departments. Their debut album, Holding Hands with Jamie, was a solid album, and definitely, it brought some really great ideas to the table. But ultimately, I think it really suffered in the production department, and the poor production present throughout really just kind of took an edge off some of the more noisy, umphy elements to their sound. Their sophomore album, The Talkies, was definitely a step forward in terms of just production and just the sheer scope of the album. But I do think that it lacked a bit of direction, and it kind of stagnated when it comes to the band, progressing their sound. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of material on that album that was very, very effective, but a lot of the album also seemed a little bit directionless. It felt like the noise just didn't really serve, a bigger purpose, and the post-punk foundations of that project just really didn't shine through to the extent that a lot of contemporary bands do. They just never really had their own niche figured out. They had their own niche, but they just didn't have the sound down to a T. However, there was always glimpses of greatness present on their projects. Tracks like Paul off their debut or Shoulder Blades off the Talkies really hinted towards something bigger. Really hinted towards the band being able to create something special, and I think that potential that I always saw in them has finally come to fruition with their new album, Most Normal. This album is just a pure noise rock masterpiece. The soundscapes that Gilla Band were able to achieve here just had me completely floored and mesmerized on first listen. It is a vividly unforgiving and unrelenting assault on the senses. Oftentimes it abandons all sense of structure just to engulf the listener in its nightmarish and manic sea of just noise. Its heavy reliance on just anxiety-inducing, just mechanical rhythms, on its just misanthropic walls of noise, and on frontman Dara Keeley's very manic yet somewhat humorous vocal performances just really create an album unlike anything I've heard in recent years. The band here just sound completely unshackled, completely free. Those post-punk influences that were present on their first two albums are just no longer here. The band feel just completely in their own element, in their own field. They're creating music without any boundaries, without any, preconceived notions. They're creating something really, really special and unique here. The lack of direction that I mentioned on the Talkies is also just not present here. Even though this album just sounds more dissonant and unpredictable than anything they've ever released before, it also feels so much more cohesive. The band here sound fully in control of their own sound. They are fully in control of every demonic screech that the guitars make. They're in control of every single bit of distortion on the vocals, on the guitars, on everything. Every sound on this album serves a purpose, and that purpose is to just create just sheer chaos and discomfort. Organized chaos and discomfort. I briefly mentioned the lyricism and vocal work, but I have to once again emphasize just how special Dara's performances and contributions are on that front. His vocal performances here are just so absolutely unchained and unhinged. His lyrics are so cryptic and at times undecipherable that it just adds so much to the album's just surrealism and its chaos and its just discomfort. Yet despite all this, it's strangely catchy, fun, and somewhat tongue-in-cheek. It name drops brands like Lidl and Eason's, talks shit about Ryanair, and the use of repetition throughout really adds a lot of memorability and, weirdly enough, catchiness to the music. Most Normal is most certainly not what the album title might suggest. It is not only a standout album in music this year, It's also just a standout album in noise rock. I have seldom, experienced the level of simultaneous discomfort, overstimulation, yet somehow just euphoria that this album provides me with. It really is a one-of-a-kind project. It's one of the best pieces of music that I've heard in a long time. One of the best albums of this year. A definite album of the year contender. And overall, I just am in love with this thing, and I think it's going to be an album that I'm going to come back to for years. It's going to be an album that's going to blow me away no matter how many times I listen to it, because the sound of this thing is just so hellish and oftentimes scary that you just kind of have to hear it to believe it. I'm feeling a decent 9 on this album, and yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the album. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What are your favorite tracks? But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and peace.